of the things we like to do as we kick these off is we like to see where everybody is joining in from. So please go to the chat and post in the chat where you're tuning in from today for this boot camp session. We've got Jennifer's out in Maricopa. Got Natasha and Chandler. We got Phoenix, Oro Valley, Tempe, Mesa, Tempe, Sierra Vista, Phoenix, another Sierra Vista. Phoenix, Scottsdale. So one reason we like to do this, we like to see where everybody's tuning in from, some of the different areas. So keep posting up if you haven't posted yet where you're from. It helps, through this, we've seen people from other states and even other countries. We've had countries, Uganda, Italy, Finland, the UK, South Africa, Mexico. So we've had a number of different countries. I'm keeping a cheat sheet list just for fun on where everybody's tuning in from, what other countries. So we can say that the boot camp is internationally known. So we want to thank everybody for posting up. We've got San Luis in here as well, Scottsdale. We appreciate everybody being with us. Another thing I want to do, and it is December, and I can't believe it's December already. I can't believe it's December 10th. And this is our last session for the calendar year. But everybody post up now in the chat, a little bit of interaction here. What your favorite holiday song is. It's either like to hear on the radio or sing with family, whatever. Post up your favorite holiday song. Wow, there's crickets in the chat, so no one likes holiday music. I don't have one. Thank you, Jennifer. Love that. Holly Jolly Christmas. Let It Snow from Boys to Men. All right. Christmas in Hollis. All right. Well, thank you for posting that up. If you want to still continue, if you're typing, keep it going. We got All for Christmas. Jingle Bell Rock. O Come Emmanuel. Excellent. Thank you all for posting that. Again, if you're still typing that out, please go ahead and finish and hit enter and post in the chat. But we're going to jump right into the rest of the boot camp, and we appreciate everybody's playing in the chat and sharing that information. So if you're new to the boot camp, we like to start by recognizing all of our community partners. We couldn't do these webinars without them, their time, their effort, and their expertise. They're great partners. They give back freely of their time to help support small businesses throughout the state. So you guys can take this information and improve your business, even if it's just a little bit. We are grateful for them, and we continue to partner with new and great organizations and individuals to help make these boot camps as best as possible. One of the great things about the Small Business Boot Camp, for those that are new, is we focus on the preparation, planning, and growing your business. And we do that not just through the Tuesday morning webinars, but through hands-on workshops, virtual workshops. We do some lunch and learns, all to help support small businesses. And all the virtual activity gets recorded and housed in our content library. The content library is available. There's no cost. You can find it at the bottom of the bootcamp homepage. And you have access to about 350, 360 recorded webinars and workshops to help support your small business. You can find the recording and the slide decks. We ask that the presenters share their slide decks because we know a lot of you want that information and be able to print it out if that's what you want. So that's included. So it's a great resource that is available to you at any time. We know that sometimes you can't make it at 9 a.m. on a Tuesday morning, so you can always go back and watch the recording. The ACA also has a number of other great programs to support small businesses. This is just a sample of a few of those. You can find all of them at azcommerce.com/programs, and we'll post that link in the chat as well. However, one of the programs we like to talk in more detail about and share is the small business checklist. And this is an online interactive tool for those that are looking to start a business or looking to expand your business to new areas to identify the commonly requested licensing, registration, and compliance requirements at the local, state, and federal level. There's also a lot of other very important and helpful business information in the checklist, and it is an amazing resource. The checklist itself is that just that. You check boxes and you get the information. There's a ton of information in there, but we also have another option, which is Sally, our state and local licensing virtual assistant, and you can leverage the strength of generative AI to access the checklist and get the information there. What's really cool about Sally is only trained on our checklist, so she's not pulling random information off the rest of the internet. It's specific information straight from our checklist. And you can access that by scanning that QR code that's on your screen. It's a great resource. So real quick, some updates, and this is all very recent stuff that's happened in the last week. So some of you are familiar with the Corporate Transparency Act and the beneficial ownership information reporting requirements. A federal judge has halted that program for now. So if you're scrambling to try to get that done before the end of the year, that has been halted. We're going to post links to articles on these programs in the chat so you can get more details. And then just this morning, I saw a release that the IRS has delayed the small business tax reporting requirements for things such as PayPal and Venmo. And where that's important is the IRS had made a change that anything over $600 was going to be reportable for those methods of payments. And they've put a pause on that again this year. So that's nice, because I know a lot of people use those payment options for just getting, passing money back and forth amongst friends, and having to report over $600 can be onerous to a lot of people. So those are two updates. Again, we're going to post some links in the chat for more details, but we wanted to make sure that all of you were aware of those items. So looking forward, today, as I mentioned, today is the last session for this calendar year. So the boot camp will pause until January 7th. And January 7th, we're going to kick off the new year with Organize and Optimize Your Small Business. Then we're going to jump in, and you can see the rest of the year we've got the rest of the month, we've got some great titles there, and those are on their website, so you can go ahead and register for them now, so you'll get those reminders. But we do also want to highlight on Thursday, January 16th, we have a virtual workshop, virtual lunch and learn, talking about understanding your business value and why it matters. And so we've got a great presenter for that. And you see, we're going to kick off the year with a bunch of awesome sessions. So we hope you join us for those. Again, those are available on the website to register now, so you can get those reminders in your email as they come up. So with that, we're going to jump into today's session. We've got two of our great friends. I work closely with Nancy and Sue, not just for the boot camp, but for many other things around the state. Nancy is the Small Business Development Center Director for the Maricopa County SBDC, and Sue Oliver is in charge of the Pima County SBDC. And we are excited to have them with us and talk about some goal planning, SMART goals, and other stuff. So with that, I'm going to stop sharing my screen. And as Sue pulls up her slide deck, we do want to mention that please use the Q&A button at the bottom of your screen for questions. So we can use the chat for some just back and forth interaction as needed. We don't want to lose those questions. We want to make sure we're able to get to them at the end of the presentation. So with that, Sue and Nancy, the time is all yours.
All right, I'm going to turn it over to Nancy. Welcome, everyone. We love the Arizona Commerce Authority, and it's a joy to be here. And we're going to have Nancy starting off, and then I'll pick up after she's finished.
Great. Thanks, Sue. You can go to the next slide. Well, good morning and happy holidays, everyone. Um, the title of this program is Setting Goals and Managing Your Time, but I hope that we're also going to talk about, or you're going to think about celebrating what you have achieved already so far. So a little background about the Small Business Development Center. If you aren't familiar with us, we of course want you to be familiar with us. And think of us as your statewide resource for assisting you to grow a successful business. And you can see that we have, every county has a center. We're supported at a national level, funded by the Small Business Administration. Statewide, we're hosted by Maricopa Community Colleges. And then each of these centers, as you can see, has a community college host. So we're available to you around the state. Sue, will you go to the next slide? How exactly do we, or what do we do? Well, as I said, we're here to help you launch and grow a successful business. And I think that probably our niche, our specialty is preparing our clients and working with our clients to access capital. So business planning is certainly a big part of that, which that's really, I think of today's session is really being about business planning. Where are you going and how are you going to get there? We have an expertise also, I would say, in the financial skills area and financial analysis, financial planning. And then we have some specialty areas as well in terms of working with clients to help them export, commercializing technology, et cetera. And so think of us as, starting, growing, and then what's next for you? Is that selling your business, or is that transitioning to something else? You can go to the next slide, Sue. And how do we do that? Well, that confidential one-on-one counseling. We also have a number of tools that we invest almost, I think, probably close to or almost as much in tools as we do in an individual business analyst. So we have a number of tools. This just is a screenshot of a couple of those tools. LivePlan is an online business planning tool that is great for helping you track your progress, helping you track your goals, and where you're looking to end up at the end of the year or a time frame. And then we also have some industry research tools. IBIS World is a competitive marketing analysis tool that is used, and then ProfitSense helps our clients benchmark their profitability and what they're spending on certain things against other competitors, either across the street perhaps, or across the country. So, and then what does that mean for our clients? Sue, will you go to the next slide? This is just a snapshot of what we have done or how we have worked with clients around the state. So we've worked with clients to obtain or invest more than $60 million in their businesses. We've helped almost 500 new businesses launch, created almost 1,200 jobs. Our clients have increased their revenue by more than $31 million. And then we've worked with over 4,000 clients. And so what this means to you is that this is really great numbers, and we're very proud of the work that our clients have done. But what this means to you is that we could really support and guide you through every step of your journey. So why are we here today? Sue, the next slide. We're here today to talk about setting and, more importantly, achieving goals. So
Nancy, real quick, before you jump into this presentation, I want to ask a question. I know you already mentioned it, but I want to remind her, how much does it cost to participate with the SBDC and leverage your services?
Oh, I'm so sorry. I forgot to mention that little word. There is no fee, or our services are free to all of you. Sometimes some centers do some special training programs where there is a small fee associated, but I usually say free, Bob. So thanks for jumping in there because that is important to note that our services are free to our clients to use. So thanks, Bob. I appreciate it. So obviously, every business owner, every business needs goals. You probably already know that, goals help with your focus on your daily activities. It helps you. Of course, I am getting a notification to restart my computer. Sorry about that. Totally blanked out my complete screen with the pop-up there. But one of the things that we don't always look at is what does the goal mean for the operation of the business? It can really help us be more efficient, more effective. Studies show that individuals and businesses who have goals outperform those businesses and individuals who don't have goals. So it's also, if you're working with a team of people, it helps your team buy into what your business is focusing on, what you're doing, what your end result is, helps with accountability. And I think that, all of every single one of those 4,000, 4,100 clients that we've worked with, every single one of those clients have goals. Because when we sit down with a client, we ask them, why have you come to the SBDC? What are you looking to accomplish? And I think we'll all agree that, when we set a goal, when we accomplish that goal, it's a celebration, right? And so your business will be more enjoyable. You will feel more fulfilled as a business owner or as a manager of a business. You'll be more fulfilled when you focus on those goals. So Sue, next slide. Okay, so what types of goals are there? Well, for a long time, I only focused on professional goals. I only said, hey, at the SBDC, we have contracted goals with our funders. So we have goals that the SBA expects us to achieve. Sue and I report to different community colleges, but they have goals they want us to be a part of. And then we have teams that we lead, and those goals may or may not be the exact same. So there's lots of different types of goals. When I work with my team on performance success, I always ask my team, what's a personal professional goal that they want to achieve, and how can I support them over the year? Goals can be short or long term. I think, a good benchmark if you're trying to change a habit, even starting with just a 30-day goal is great. And then obviously long-term goals, I think that it's wise for a business owner to consider a 3 to 5 year plan. A 3 to 5 year goal may not be something that you're working in every day, like your 30-day goal, but it's important to see that big picture. And quantitative or qualitative, I tend to set very quantitative goals, very metric driven. And sometimes in the last month or so, I've kind of experienced not traumatic, but a personal event in my personal life that made me realize that, the quality of my life is not what I want it to be. And so that's one of the things that I'm working on now is what's a qualitative goal that I can set for myself? Every business, I bet Sue's going to say this a couple of times too, every business needs a profitability goal, and my background is business development and marketing. So I always think about the top line, but your business is the long-term success of your business is not solely determined by revenue. You need to look at profitability as well. Productivity goals are more, I think of those goals as being more accountability, more activity focused to help you get to that bigger goal. And then speaking of that big goal, what is your wildly important goal? Many of you probably have heard that term WIG. Was popularized, I don't know, 30 years ago or so, probably originally, or 40 years ago, by some work that Stephen Covey did. Others talk about BHAG, be big, hairy, audacious goal. So what is that goal that's really just so huge that you're going to focus significant time and energy on that? So you've got these different types of goals. Well, how do you determine what a goal is, or what does that look like? And so next slide, Sue. So you probably have heard this. We're always talking about SMART goals. What does it mean to have a SMART goal? And, you know, if you just say, like that frequently when I worked with clients would say, well, I want to have more revenue next year. Well, that's not a goal. You know, if you say, I want $500,000 more in revenue in 2025, that is specific. You're going to have, can you measure that goal? Of course you can measure that goal. You look at your financial statements. You sit down with your SBDC business analyst on a monthly or a quarterly basis, and you're looking at your financial statements to see, are we tracking to achieve that revenue goal or that profitability goal? If you are brand new, starting out in your business, and you say, next year, I want to do $1 million in revenue, or I want $100,000 in profit, is that achievable? Is that attainable or realistic? It might be, depending upon what business you're in, or it may be that you want to build incremental goals. So the first year's goal, $250,000, or something along those lines. And then, is it relevant, or does it make sense for your company to have that particular goal? So we talked about revenue, profitability. Well, those are all clearly associated, you know, with an organization, with a business. But you might say that you want to develop a new profit stream for your revenue stream for your company. Does that make sense with the operation that you're having so far? And then my favorite, is it timely? You know, do you have a start date and an end date or a target date for your goals? And I think it's important to build into that timeliness benchmarks, of course, which again, work with your advisory team or work with your SBDC advisor on what those target dates should be. And it's important to build in a celebration, you know, a recognition of the work that's been done. I think it's important to celebrate, even if you don't achieve that goal within the time frame. There's nothing wrong with that. Sue and I have worked with literally thousands of companies, right, on goals and metrics. And do our clients hit their goal every single time? No, no one does. So you build in that support system and you learn from those achievements you've made. And, you know, I don't want to say necessarily double your effort. Sometimes it is put more effort into it. Sometimes it's just, well, you know what, that really wasn't realistic. Here's a better way to look at that, or here's a better way for us to move forward. And I really, you know, highlighting celebrating, because I think this is the time of year where it's really important for us to, this webinar is geared towards getting ready for the new year, right? But it's really important for you to look at, what have you achieved? What are your successes that you've had this year? And believe me, you have them. Even if you don't think you hit your targets, you do have successes. So, Sue, the next slide. These are a couple of examples of what your goals might be. You know, increase sales, again, increase sales by a certain date, right? You might have a profitability, a net profit goal. It's really important that as a business owner, you're looking at not just the top line, the revenue and sales, but what is the profitability? And then how are you going to, I think of the last one as not really being a goal, but the way I would celebrate. Now, that's a great goal. Don't get me wrong. Going on vacation, that's a great goal. but I tend to make my vacations my reward for accomplishing one of my other goals. So when I increase sales by 25%, and profit by 10%, I'm going to celebrate that by taking vacations. So, but these are just examples, things for you to think about. And again, when you work with an advisor, they can help you answer some of these questions. So we talked about what is your profitability goal. I know Sue's going to talk about how to get to that point, how to get to that focus point. But look at why do you want that profit? What do you want to do with that? Well, you want to pay down debt, you want to pay yourself, you want to put more money back in your business. So next slide. Think about over the next 20, 25 minutes or so, what would be a great goal for you in 2025? What's kind of your overarching, your big goal? I used to work for a coaching, training, and consulting company. And, my boss, who was the founder of the company, she used to constantly tell people, that's not a big enough goal. That's not a big enough goal. So think about, it's not that it has to be completely outrageous and outside of the realm of possibility. You've got to believe in it. But think about what is your focus for the next year, and then how do your other goals that you have support that goal. So next slide, Sue. So common mistakes I see, what we've seen or what people see, is that frequently they're not specific enough, is what I would say, is that clients say, oh, I want to do this amount in revenue or this amount in profit, but it's very, it's not specific enough. It's make more money. Everybody, all of the close to 50 participants on this call, everybody wants to take home more money. Well, what does that look like? Is it revenue? Did you have to get more business? Or do you need more business falling to the bottom line, or some combination? The accountability piece is really key. And that's, I think, a lot of our clients use their SBDC advisor as a coach, as an accountability partner, that I said I was going to do these things. Here's how I want to move forward. And, it helps to have that business buddy, if you will. And then, people not being inspired by the goal. Well, I think I should grow my business, but I'm not really interested in that because I want to take more vacations. Well, then maybe it isn't about doing more business. It's about being more effective or efficient with your time to get to that point. Next slide. Critical, if you take nothing else away from this, write them down. Write your goals down. In fact, I came into the office today and I wrote down 3 things that I want to accomplish today. So that writing them down, and I know we have electronic means available to us, all kinds of tools. Studies show that if you handwrite something, you remember it more readily and you focus on it. So write those goals down, share and communicate them with your team, with your support system, with your family, tracking them, building in the accountability. Again, we talked about, you don't always hit it going out of the gate the first time. So revise and update as needed, and make sure that you are spending time, you're investing time in achieving those goals. And that's really Sue's secret sauce that she's going to be talking about. Make sure that you make time to celebrate as well. So next slide. We talked about goal setting to ensure that you achieve your goals that you're setting. Time man, you might say, well, I don't have more time to devote to that. Well, we're going to talk about that. So when I say time management, you think of something, but when I say time management today, this is the time to turn it over to Sue, who's going to help all of you go a little deeper into what it looks like to focus your time in an efficient way to achieve your goal. So, Sue.
Thank you, Nancy. Usually when I'm working with clients and I ask them about time management, they say, oh no, oh no, the relationship with time management is not that positive. But I will just start off by saying that time management doesn't really, it's just a misnomer. You can't manage time. Each of us pretty much gets 24/7. And it's really more about priority management. So how do you align your actions and your priorities to what you say that they're going to support your business, and then your time, you manage your time to that. And most of the time, as we've been talking about, if you don't have goals, it's hard to do that. So the relationship between time management and goals is that if you've got your big, hairy, audacious goal, your wildly important goal, then you and your team and people that are supporting your business, you want to be aligned and make sure that your actions and where you spend your time aligns with that, the big, hairy, audacious goal, and then the goals that support that goal. So one framework to consider, you may have seen this in the past, is Stephen Covey's 7 Habits of Highly Effective People, that really looks at breaking your time into 4 quadrants. At the top, you can think of where you spend your time based on the urgency. And normally we think of urgency as to what somebody tells me they need right away. And I invite you to consider that maybe urgent and not urgent can be defined by you. In other words, we have clients when we're business owners, we have staff, we have leaders that ask things of us, but also making sure that we're clear and having conversations about, is that really urgent? So urgent and not important, that's kind of a spectrum, a way to look at where you spend your time. And then important and not important. Again, who defines the important and not important? Oftentimes it's by an external factor or an individual, and maybe what we can think about a little differently is important to you and your business. So if you look at the 4 quadrants, many of us are spending our time, I know I do, I'll just speak for myself, in the area of firefighting. So those are urgent, important areas, oftentimes crises, oftentimes with a small business. It might be a client issue, a vendor issue, a project, something that you need to deliver. And so that's considered firefighting, urgent and important. And then under urgent and not important, those could be those emails, those meetings, sometimes pressing matters, which really feel urgent, but maybe they really aren't that important, called distractions. And I imagine some of you are familiar with distractions that you deal with on a day-to-day basis. And then quadrant 4 is time wasting. And that is not only not urgent, but not important. And so you could put, some people would argue that social media might be a distraction. In some cases, it might be that it's not even that important and not urgent. So it's more busy work, some phone calls, even some pleasant activities. And I would say pleasant activities, especially vacations, taking a walk, getting outside, is not such a bad thing, but just thinking about where that fits in your priorities for you and your business. And then quadrant 2, quality time, which is very important, but not urgent. And this is an area, it's in green shown here because it is really very important, but often falls to the bottom of the priority list. And that's around building relationships, building capacity, recognizing opportunities, planning, goal setting, business planning, looking out into 2025 and saying, this time next year, where do I want to be? Where do I want the business to be? And so it's very important, but often we don't make time for that. So one way to look at it, when you think about where you spend your time, this is usually what it looks like. If you look at the red line as to where very many folks, including myself, often spend time, it's very little in the quality time, a lot in distractions and time wasting. And I usually go back and forth. It's human nature. You know, we've got something that comes up, we put out a fire, then we get a little distracted by something that arises, and then we kind of tune it out into the area of time wasting, and then might go to something like goal planning, business planning. So what is a way to look at quadrant 2 here? One of the ways to look at it, where do you want to and where do you need to spend your time, is in that quadrant 2, because it is the heart of effective personal management. And it deals with things like building relationships, networking, for example, writing a personal or even a business mission statement, long-range planning, exercising, preventive maintenance, preparation, all those things we know we need to do, but somehow seldom get around to doing because they aren't urgent. And to paraphrase Peter Drucker, one of the leadership writer, author, and coach, says that effective people are not problem-minded, they're opportunity-minded. They feed opportunities and starve problems. They think preventively. They have genuine quadrant 1 crises, where they're firefighting and emergencies, that require their immediate attention, but the number is comparatively small when you start to actually put more time into quadrant 2. Okay, so take a moment and think about your own businesses, your own personal and your business time and energy. And for many of us as small business owners, they kind of merge. And think about where you want to spend time, where you're spending it now and where you want to spend time. This is such a perfect time of the year. Nancy had mentioned celebrating. This is a time to celebrate what you've accomplished as we go into the end of the year and start a new calendar year in January. A really wonderful time to reflect between now and the end of the month in January. Where do you want to spend your time? Do you want to continue to do a lot of firefighting and distraction and time wasting, or do you really want to spend time in the things that will help you personally and business-wise grow, scale, and thrive as a business owner? What I find with a lot of clients that I've worked with, and I too have been a life coach, I've been a fitness coach, and now much more of a business coach and running an SBDC, is that oftentimes business owners just don't think about what they want from their businesses. Nancy mentioned the profitability goal. Take a moment and think about, it's not just paying yourself when there's money left over, whatever comes in. What if you were to take some time and think about what does your household want and need in terms of a profitability goal? What do you want to invest back into the business? What do you want to do with any business debt you might have, if you do? Do you want to pay some more of that off? But really setting some more of those goals and really allocating your time and in the new year to fulfilling on those goals. And so I get asked a lot, well, that sounds really great, but how do we actually do that? How do we align our actions more effectively towards quadrant 2, especially as business owners? We really get it. You're doing so much, wearing so many hats. It can often be a lot easier said than done about how to put best practices in place for trying to get to some of those other quadrants. Here's some suggestions. I think actually it's the top of the whole list. Nancy said this all along, and so did Robert, is working with your advisor, your business advisor, your small business development center counselor, your SCORE counselor, whoever it is that you're working with, to set up your goals, be held accountable, be willing to have a cheerleader on your side as you move through those goals, or maybe not, figure out what got in the way. Usually it's life, usually it's those different quadrants, not the quality time quadrant. But finding your peak golden time. For some of us that are morning people, I am not. I am a night owl. Finding your time when you actually can working on your business and not just working in your business. Because working on your business, you really would like to be fresh, have some creative, innovative ideas maybe, and really find that peak golden time that works for you. Okay, plan your day. Nancy mentioned having 3 things that she put on her to-do list for the day. I love that. I do the same thing. What are 3 things that must get done, that you must get done today? And suddenly everything else kind of is next. And if those 3 things, at least one of them, support that quadrant 2, quality time, planning, connecting, networking, innovative ideas, building clients, whatever that is, profitability, goal planning, get those into your day so that at the end of the day, you've hit at least one of those, and hopefully all 3. Multitasking. I used to pride myself on being an amazing multitasker, and I thought that was the coolest thing ever. I could do so many things at once. Research shows that there's really no such thing as true multitasking, that our brains really focus on one thing at a time. And what happens when you multitask, when I multitask, is that I sub-optimize in everything that I'm working on. I try to do email at the same time, or write something, or am in a webinar. I'm not fully present for any one of those things. So the invitation to you is to think about focusing on one thing versus multitasking as a best practice. And that actually can help reduce distractions. The phone call that comes in, the email, the social media, thing that comes in, the posting, and all of a sudden we move into distraction mode. So doing one thing at a time, taking breaks, getting away from the computer, stepping away from the workplace for a little bit, getting outside, taking some breaks. Research shows that taking those breaks makes you more effective throughout your day and throughout your work week and beyond. There are a lot of tools, we'll talk about some briefly, that you can leverage if you don't already. And then, of course, I mentioned earlier, using your mentors, coaches. That's what we are here for. That's what we do. That's why we do what we do. And we look forward to working with our clients in that way. And then finding what works best for you. You're going to read a lot. You're hearing here ideas. You really need to try things and see what works best for you, and ultimately allows you to be happier, healthier, and have a business that is growing and thriving. All right, let's talk a little bit about the, the tools. Some of you may have already taken advantage of some of the simple and even more complex project management tools. I'm not saying to use them for everything that you do, but sometimes you might find, particularly if you're working with teams and you've got deliverables that require a project management. There's Trello, Monday, Asana, there's a bunch of them. Go out there and check. Many of them have very low cost, in some cases free trials. So you may consider using one of those. If you're concerned and you really are curious about where your time's going, you could do time tracking, particularly again, if you've got teams and you want to, as a team, look at increasing productivity, Harvest, Clockify are ways for you to track where you and your team are spending time. And the goal would be that you're spending time in those quadrant 2 areas and ways to increase productivity for you and your business. Communications, collaboration. You know, we're on a Zoom. There's Teams. There's Slack for team communications. There's a lot of collaboration communication tools. Calendar scheduling. I'm sure a lot of you use those. There's ways to actually even be more productive when you use things like Google Calendar, Outlook, or Calendly even. Scheduly, for example, you can color code, you can prioritize the things in your calendar. You can share them with your teams for accountability or task assignments. So a lot of us may not be using our calendars and scheduling tools as effectively as we may want to. Document file management, Google Docs, Adobe Sign, when you have things that need to get signed. Many of you may be familiar with those tools. And then things like mind mapping, which gets you into quadrant 2, which is like innovative, creative ideas, what's next, goal planning, things like that with your teams. A lot of tools that you can use for looking in and creatively looking at what you want to do, for example, in the new year. And so with that, I'm just going to stop and see if there are any questions, any comments. And of course, the thing that we'd love to hear too, if you have any celebrations for 2024 that you want to put in the chat that we want to acknowledge you for, let us know. We would love to hear from you. Any questions, any celebrations, anything that you would like to share. Some of you may even want to share your 2025 goals, but anything that you've got there, we'd love to hear how you're doing, where you're going. And I'm going to stop sharing here. You can reach us at arizonasbdc.com as a reminder. All right.
All right, so we don't have any new questions. Post up in the chat any questions you may have for Sue or Nancy, and we'll jump onto those. There was one that was asking about the tools. Nancy responded it, but others may request. Can you go back through the tools that you offer at the SBDC that help your clients?
Nancy, you're on mute too, but some of the tools that Nancy mentioned, we've got Live Plan, which for our clients is a no cost free business planning tool out in the cloud. What we love about Live Plan is you can go and you can start to build your business plan with your narrative and your financial projections out there, and then let your counselor know when you've completed portions, and they can give you feedback right in that cloud tool. It's really wonderful. Nancy also mentioned some research tools. We get clients that want to know, hey, how big is it? What's the market potential for this particular business? What are some financial metrics, ratios? How do I compare? Let's say I'm a restaurant. What are some of the profitability ratios for a restaurant or a different kind of a widget product? So those are some of the tools that we have. And then of course, we've got Word document and Excel spreadsheets for cash flow analysis and other kinds of profitability tools. So Nancy, what else do you have on in your toolkit that you'd like to share?
Well, I think that one of the tools that we don't have a good graphic representation on this deck, but we did a couple of years ago, we added a market research tool called Vertical IQ, which has been a tool that we have a number of former lenders on our team, former commercial lenders. And so they like that tool because it's very similar, or in fact, it is the tool that many lenders use to assess loan applications. So that's something that not only is it a great tool for good information, but if you're looking to obtain capital, it's something that the financial experts are looking at as well.
Yeah.
Very good. And someone asked about, is there a link for Live Plan? So Live Plan is a software. It's out of Palo Alto Software, I think is the company that creates it. So you can buy a license yourself if you want, or you can work with the SBDC and use one of their licenses that they're already paying for while you're working with them. And if you're looking for a loan in the future to grow your business, Live Plan is an amazing tool to help put that business plan together in a way that the lender likes to see it. But it also has some other simplified tools. One is, it's got a business model canvas type component too, so you can do a quick summary. So it's an amazing tool. And if you're working on goals, but you don't have even a business model canvas, one-page business plan done yet, I recommend, working with the SBC or just going back and watching some of the previous bootcamp videos to learn how to do that business model canvas, to do that one-page business plan, identify your target markets and things you're doing so you can make the right goals for this coming year.
Robert, what I was going to say about working with clients, oftentimes when we're talking about goal setting, business planning, I can see the energy just like, oh, but I really love this and I'm really good at this. And the thing that we also find though, is that your goals, your business plan, the first target audience for doing these things are you. If they don't inspire you, then why do them? So the goals, the business plan, all that has got to inspire you and the team. And so there is a possibility of it being fun, inspiring, and more importantly, allowing you to grow that business and access capital in ways that you may not be right now being able to do that. And that's what we're here for as business counselors, to support you, and as resource partners like the Arizona Commerce Authority.
And I love what Nancy just put in about Live Plan with the AI tools, just posted in the chat. I actually had a conversation with another center director recently, and he was giving me updates on the AI aspects of Live Plan and how it makes it even easier to create that business plan quickly as opposed to what took us significantly longer before. So yeah, great use of tools to help businesses.
And Bob, I think everybody, unless you're an experienced business plan author, it's intimidating to think about doing a business plan. And I'm just going to say that I had a number of businesses before I came to the SBDC, and only the last two had business plans. And those businesses were far more financially successful. And one of those businesses was acquired by another company. And I give a lot of credit to the planning, and not just the planning in original, but, the talking it out, having an advisor and sharing those ideas and tracking. But it is overwhelming to think about, doing a plan, and it doesn't have to be. Business Model Canvas is a great tool when you're starting out to just kind of mind map, put everything in one sheet, and then from that provide more detail. Yes,
Yeah.
and I agree, Eduardo. It is frustrating when you spend time doing a business plan and feel like it's not going anywhere. So maybe that's something we can assist you with, or we can talk you through.
And I think the other thing is that I have clients that have said, oh, I did a 40-50 page business plan. The lenders don't want to read a 40-50 page business plan. They're looking at something more like 6 to 10 pages with really nice financial projections. So when you think about where you're putting your time as you're going through the business planning process, working on those cash flow projections is a really important part of it. And again, finance cash flow can feel really intimidating, but guess what? That's what we're here for, to walk you through that and really support you with the tools like LifePlan and others to put that projection set together.
Mm-hmm.
Excellent. We're getting close to time. I don't have any other questions in there. So we will go ahead and wrap up a little early. Everybody a few minutes back to their day, and we appreciate everybody being with us today. We hope it was beneficial and you're able to make some plans for this coming year. And we hope to see you in a few weeks on January 7th for our next session of 2025. Until then, everybody have a great holiday season. Enjoy time in your business and with your family. And we hope to see you soon. Thanks and have a great day.
Thanks, everybody.
Thank you.